Right. I think it stopped working on me there. I don't know why. So I had to put the hold on, otherwise it might switch off. But that's I don't know why that stopped working. Well, like I said in another thing, it's no big deal. It doesn't work. I'm not going to check it every 5 minutes. But just to reiterate, it's still the same day. It's still the 17th Sunday I'm walking. And yeah, okay, I trust you. You're going to keep working for me. There's some beautiful snowy clouds over Lure, and quite a bit of snow on top of Lure. Even though right now it feels a lot milder than I thought it would. And there's no wind. You used to say a few years ago here there was hardly ever any wind in this area. But over the last few days and even the last couple of weeks, it's been just non-stop wind every day. And not warm either. It's been like a cold, wintry wind. So today feels unusual because there's no wind. It is different. It's the first day like this in about a fortnight. Yeah, I just felt I had to go get out of the house for a while. It's strange, I can't find anything to get in. And it surprises me when I think about it how I've lost all interest in movies. I've got shelves and shelves of DVDs. And like there's stuff like Heat with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino. And I haven't seen it in a long time, but I just find it very hard to get up the necessary interest to put something on. If you told me that 10 years ago, I found it very strange if you'd said, there's going to come a time and you'll literally go through months where you won't watch, you won't see a single actor, you won't watch a single movie. I would have found it bizarre. I am, of course, obsessed with the cryptocurrency and chess. That's kind of, at the moment, that's all it is. I do get obsessed by one or two things. I can tell from, actually this time last year with the vlogs I was doing. Jesus, every audio tape of April and May is just continually about transport fever. What I'm doing and what I'd like to do and how it's good and how it's bad. And it probably seemed interesting at the time. Listening back, it's not the most interesting for me. I rather know what's going on at this time in my life. I feel that that's going to be more interesting as I look around here and seeing a lot of blue sky appearing now. But yeah, it's more in the future. Perhaps you listen back to one of these things and you want to be reminded of just the little details of that moment in 2021 and that April day. And I was supposed to say, I woke up this morning at 6 o'clock because Bob was crying to get out. And I just gave him some food and everything. I didn't let him out because it was dark. But I happened to turn on my phone, as I obsessively do, to check the markets. And there was a huge drop. It's like Bitcoin had dropped from 64,000 down to 52,000. Ethereum was just hovering over 2,000, where it had been at 2,000, nearly 2,600 a few days earlier. And everything else was down by 10, 15, 20%. So I bought some Bitcoin with the €1,000 I had in Binance, and I swapped over. I have 4,000 of ADA in Coinbase, so I transferred all that equally between Ethereum and Bitcoin. My plan being that Ethereum and Bitcoin, they have to bounce back. They have to bounce back. And so buying them at the level they are at now, you have to make money. That's what I was thinking. Although since then the market hasn't recovered as much as I thought. I thought and kind of hoped it would shoot back up, and we'd be back up Bitcoin into the 60s like by midday. It hasn't. Anyway, I think I did the right thing. Little family. Bonjour. Bonjour. Two little 4-year-old, 5-year-olds on a bike. Sisters. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes in the future, actually. It's funny because if you're listening to this in the future, you kind of know how that panned out. I don't know what the future is from here. I don't know how the whole crypto business is going to end. And it's ironic because I was watching some videos last night and there was people talking about the exit strategy and talking about, I hope this isn't too dull because I know all this, but who knows, maybe if there's ever another person ever listening to this. But they say it's like a cycle, 4-year cycle, and at the moment it's the bull market, but the bear market will come perhaps at the end of the year. And I found myself disagreeing with that and thinking, why would anyone sell Bitcoin? Why, if all these projects are so fantastic, why would people start selling out, And I was leaving comments to that effect. And it's funny to wake up this morning as if the powers that be are saying, you see the way things can change. Don't think that Bitcoin is constantly going to just be going up. Bonjour. So I don't know. It's hanging on, but in the future, this is kind of funny for me to think about. You will know, you're listening back to this. When you're listening back to this, you will have you'll have that information. I'm in the middle of Sunday here. I don't know where the market's going to be at the end of the day, or But it was lucky. Car coming behind me was going so slow. Buongiorno. Getting to the turn here, you know, as you get to the old house, there's a pretty dangerous bend in the road. You can't see around anything. The car coming behind me it almost seemed to stop. It's like he's still going slow. And it's a good job because there was another car coming around the bend at the same time, and the man walking. Sometimes people fly down this road and you think one day the luck will not be there, and it could be a pretty bad accident. The ground is very wet, actually. Must have been a lot of rain last night. I didn't notice. So in the future, you'll know how things go. It's funny. I don't know now. So Flo is in Maraval. She's doing the gardening. If the weather's like this, they'll have fun. She took Tuco. Otherwise, how is the day going? This time, I'm playing chess and probably losing more than I'm winning, and it annoys me. And when I lose a few, especially if it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, I tend to just keep hitting the next game button, and it can get really bad. I can't get away from it. I get into a losing loop. Otherwise, me and Flo are getting along well at this particular time period. I don't do very much. I'm lucky there is the crypto thing, because it's something I keep going back to. When I've got Coinbase, I bought that fucking Coinbase stock for 400 euros, and then it immediately dropped by about 150 euros. I'm kind of down 200 on the thing, but these things they have an interest for me. And I have an interest in finding out about certain different crypto projects. Although I'm getting to the point now where I'm kind of got most of my money and Flo's money invested, and I don't really want to. I have one idea where I want to spend 20 or 30 euros on about 20 or 30 different cryptocurrencies that are really, really low. That's something I've been planning on doing, and just leaving them there with the hope that you might get in at the beginning of something good. It's just like a gamble, you know. It's kind of like doing the lottery. You pick 20 or 30 different currencies and you leave them. God, there's not much more to say. We're in lockdown this month. I don't know when we're opening again, is the Connemara. I don't really think about it. That's the best way to put it, actually. I don't think about it. It's not something that's even there, so I'm not looking forward to it. I'm not thinking about it at all. It's at the moment they could stay closed for the whole summer as long as they keep paying us. Otherwise the routine is pretty good. I think that's quite a good thing. I often think this has been a bit of a practice run for retirement, and it's kind of shown that me and Flo can get along quite well most of the time, even on our own, even, you know, together all day. It also, compared to what I used to be, it's quite the transformation that I can, you know, most of the time reasonably happy just to kind of laze around and do this and that and do a bit of shopping and spend time cooking and eating and then settling back for the evening in front of YouTube. I'm able to do these things. There's a certain amount of boredom there at times, but my God, compared to the days I was drinking, I would have lost my mind if I had to stay in the house, kind of not being able to do anything. And I managed. Bonjour. It's not always good days for both of us. But I kind of just surprised myself how I can kind of lie around on the couch, just kind of go through surfing through things, play chess. Like I said, do some shopping and eat this. I'm not doing anything, but somehow we're managing to get past it. We're having okay days. It's like we're both kind of enjoying the time somehow. And you'd think, oh man, if you were stuck like that and you had nothing to do, you'd be very. But I'm not. I've also, of course, got this walk, which is a lifesaver for me. It really is. Now, what else? That's my life really just consists of those few things I've been talking about. That's all there is at the moment. And flow. I'd like to be a better person for flow. I was listening to a man, and he's an Irish therapist for couples on the radio yesterday, and he was very, very interesting what he said. He was saying, I better wait till these noisy fucking yokes pass. Well, no, this is a lorry or something. No. Bonjour. They sound like lorries. It's the three things that passed me earlier on. Fucking things. It's like driving around in a big lawnmower that goes very fast. What was I saying? Oh yeah, the therapist. Bonjour. Lots of people out today. It's Sunday. Yeah, the therapist was saying that he was saying a lot of things that we've been through, and I've analysed myself. Like he's saying the hardest thing in a couple for people to be able to take is criticism. And he was saying it's the way sometimes the criticism is put, that if the man or the woman could say, I'd be so happy if you could just change this and be more like this, rather than you're useless, you always say this, or kind of like in Flo's situation. I have to do everything, you do nothing is probably not the best way of getting a point across. Maybe there's an easier way, and then I find it hard to take the criticism. And he was saying if we could get beyond that, if all the men could give their wives 3 or 4 free criticism cards every day or every week. I guess it depends on where you are in the relationship. And allow your wife to criticize you without losing your mind. It's something I've only learned it recently, which is kind of embarrassing to say. pride myself on being this kind of fucking Renaissance man in terms of psychology and stuff, but I'm not. Criticism is the hardest thing. And he also said something which I found fascinating, and that is, he said your own family life when you were a kid and how your parents were and your brothers and sisters and the whole dynamic is going to have a huge effect on the way you deal with criticism, the way you interact with your partner, all those things, and your partner's background, dynamic. All these things are going to affect the relationship. And he was saying people are in a relationship, the sense of betrayal or the sense of abandonment is really akin to physical pain. It's a terrible hard thing to cope with, you know. And he said we're going around with an anxiety and the anger is just there. They're very easily triggered, but he said underneath that you have the softer emotions, the empathy. And then, you know, if you could get to the point where you understand that your wife or husband is just a person struggling as much as you. And he said something nice. He said in his practice, when he tells couples to hold hands as they talk, he said it's amazing what happens, because the anger and the anxiety and the what's the word I'm looking for, the bitterness or the blaming, all these things tend to slip away. And he said when people are holding hands, the softer emotions come out. And couples start to feel that kind of sense of tenderness and protection for each other, understanding, and it's like they realize, my God, you know, he's not as bad as really I think he is, and vice versa. She's not as bad. We're all just kind of struggling. Human beings filled with insecurities, filled with fear of rejection, filled with a need for some kind of recognition. Why wouldn't we be? I found it very interesting. There's a part of me that feels kind of that I maybe would have fitted into some of those paths of being some kind of a therapist, you know. Who knows, maybe you could still get involved in something like that in the future, because to be honest, one of my points was, if you're 22 years old, how can you be a therapist? You haven't experienced anything. A lot of things come with age. And so the older the person, I'm sure this doesn't always work, but you would think the older the person, the more experience they would have, and the more they'd perhaps have to give. Because when someone has a specific problem or they're at a specific stage in life, perhaps the therapist has already been there, done that. Perhaps it's like he's been down that part of the trail, you know. And so he can help. Whereas a 20-year-old that's literally just left college Buongiorno. Perhaps has less because she's just too young. Anyway. I related to a lot of the stuff he said because me and Flo have been working on those things. We don't hold hands much anymore. We don't have very much physical contact at all. It all seems strange to do things like that now. If I were to hold Flo's hand, she'd look at me with a lot of surprise. Anyway, I listen to a lot of radio lately. Bonjour. Yeah, a lot of radio. No TV, just radio. I like listening to people talking about news stories, and I love when they have politicians on and they're arguing with each other. I don't know, just... I'm arriving at the hill leading up to the old house, and now the sun has broken out and starting to feel rather hot with my black jacket, and I've got my woolly hat in my hands, which really don't think I'm going to need at all unless the weather changes and I come back. Shit, I'm just thinking. I just thought to myself I'd like to listen to some of the theme music I was listening to the other day, but I didn't bring any headphones. That's a pity. I guess I could just listen to the phone. To the phone speakers. What else can I say about this time? So many people out walking. Bonjour. Yeah. I don't know. Bonjour. That's the man with the lovely dog. It's like a brown curly-haired dog. Always happy. I was reading some stuff I'd written in 2013. It was Bonjour. I think it was maybe October, November 2013. It was the final few months of my drinking. It's funny to think it's already 8 years ago. But I was going on about how to change the individual, how to change myself, how to be disengaged, how to shut down the sense of anxiety or shyness, how to be beside oneself, objective somehow. to be bigger than yourself. The dream of being able to overcome yourself. The dream of being able to go, I'm not doing that anymore. It doesn't concern me. I'm not trapped by that spell. That spell of inhibitedness. I'm not trapped by losing my temper over nothing because I can't control this or that. And on a side note, I think I've done more work on controlling my annoyance. Temper is kind of a strong word, but with Flo, and she's done the same, we have managed to work on that aspect. That if we have a criticism, we both seem to be able to handle it better, or if we're in a bad mood and whatever, we seem to be able to handle that better. So it's like I've handled certain things, I've worked on certain things, but other things, other parts of the personality I haven't really worked on. You know, the feeling of anxiety over nothing, the obsession over some thought that keeps going round in a circle, or the maybe a worry about the future when I should be in the moment. There's certain facets I've worked on and have had some improvements, and then other areas I've kind of overlooked, the areas that don't involve so much directly the relationship. Buongiorno. But getting back to my writing, 2013, it's a continual battle to break out of the shell of who we are and try and become. Well, for me, it's the notion of becoming, keep using the analogy of the actor. I immediately go to Steve McQueen in Bullet, of course. He's playing a part in the movie, and I think there's something to be learned from trying to look at life in the same way. Even though, of course, life is real, I'm not playing the part, but why couldn't one become detached enough to really feel that they're playing a part? You know, to feel that that they can do what they want with their personality. They can choose how to be, because it's all up for grabs. You're not stuck in one prison of a personality, one personality defect. I've never been able to put my finger on it exactly, but it always inspires me. The thought of being able to break free from yourself, and the thought of being able to somehow have the view to life, have the attitude to life, where you're free from it. It doesn't touch you somehow. I mean, that might sound very cold, and you could say, what about all the good things? Well, the good things are fine. It's more the bad things. It's a notion that's been with me for many, many years. Buongiorno. I had a stone in my shoe. I have another point to make. Are we still working here? Yeah. The other point to make is this notion of being free like that, of being like it's a movie and it doesn't concern you, so you just don't take everything personally, because that is such a key in relationships, that you're able to take criticism. You're able to have someone point out your faults. You're able to have someone point out the problems without getting, because me, it's like that's been such a problem. I get irate and angry so quick because I take everything personal. Don't know where that comes from, if it's from my background somewhere. It's very, very common for men and women, like that therapist said, it's one of the most difficult things is to take criticism, you know? God knows what percentage, must be in the 90s, that just kind of lose their mind when they're faced with that. So being distant, being like an actor would sort out that problem, because you would be able to take all those things, because you'd say, somehow I'm able to handle that because it's not really me anymore. Or even more to the point, I suppose, you can say anything you want about this guy. I've distanced from him, even though it's me, and I don't get upset anymore by that. You can say what you want, because I've distanced myself to know just how crappy he is at times. You know, just how full of mistakes and full of errors and problems and a lot of things that are complex and kind of beautiful as well. Like I said, the problem of rejection and wanting recognition and wanting to be somebody, and wanting your wife and wanting your mother and wanting your family to be proud of you, wanting to do something exceptional that your friends will look up to you. You know, all these things, I think these are beautifully complex. And a lot of them have their roots in a noble cause. They get so twisted and turned in life that most of the time the end product that we see from these very noble roots, noble wants, understandable wants, but what comes out, the product that seems to come out from all of these things together is just bile, anger, you know, resentment, maybe jealousy. And we snap and we say things that we don't really mean to our partners or whatever, because it's a snap reaction, because they've said something to us. I'm beginning to get, I feel, beginning to get to know this dynamic. But I'm 55. And I'm not sure all the books in the world were going to ever help me. I feel sometimes it was just, you know, I used to have the phrase that Yat used to use all the time. The penny has to drop. It's a sad kind of thing that I know you can be... it's not true to say that books and other people can't help. Of course they jog something in you, and you know that it makes sense, and you know you have to... You can't change earlier. I'm not saying it that it's with everybody. Some people, depending on their upbringing and stuff, have perhaps got to the stage I'm a lot quicker. You know, even saying that sentence, there's a little sense of, I don't want that to be the case. Bonjour. That's the jealousy. I want it to be more a case that, no, you have to be 55 before you figure out this stuff. I think there is a truth in the aging process, though, and what it naturally starts to kind of unravel inside us, and we start to lose the terrible defense of the ego seems to just be turned down a notch or two. I guess not for everybody. And so I get back to what I said, to be distant, to be detached. Oh, I've been wanting to say this for about an hour, for about half an hour. When I was drunk, and this is absolutely no, this is no kind of grandizement, or this is no promotional speech about the benefits of alcohol or anything like that. I'm not saying this with any sense of wonderful nostalgia or something. I'm just saying that sometimes when I was drinking and merry, not too drunk, this whole idea of the actor and the disengagement would not just come to my mind, but for a few moments I'd experience it. I'd really, really experience it. And experiencing something and talking about it or two, you know, it's like talking about that beautiful house on the beach in Thailand and living in it for a while. Two different things. But in the merriment stage, I was able to experience what detachment felt like. What it felt like not to be trapped by yourself anymore. To be able to just talk to people on an equal footing without any strange kind of nervousness and heartbeat rising and twitching. To be able to take criticism without losing your mind. And I remember that as one of the finer things, one of the few finer things in alcohol, which also doesn't really work at the end, but there is just a sense of detachment. You know, in Maraval, let's say I'm a bit drunken. I don't feel under pressure. I don't feel the stress of the language. I don't feel the shyness or the difficulty in talking to someone. It all goes away, and I'm like, none of that stuff bothers me anymore. It's like I've stepped out of myself and I'm someone else now. And in my writings, it was the same thing. It was trying to change this character. And there was the experience of what it was like to be another character. I believe that experience, the freedom of that experience, is what eventually leads to total addiction. It leads to a total spell. Because all you want to be is that character. You want to be that detached, free person. And so every day you want to have a drink. Because you want to get to that point. Now, like I said, this is not to romanticize drinking. It's just to say that it took the alcohol to bring it out, and it's chemical and it's not real. But I feel that on the positive side, I feel that, yeah, but it goes to show that that other side is there. It's there, and perhaps over time you can get to that stage. You can get to that stage without the use of any alcohol, but you can get exactly like you are. Again. And wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be a plan? I guess that's also why I have the obsession with time, kind of time travel.
Tu peux partir. Alexis, je me cale.
Because I think I always think of going back to a time and living it again. And of course, one of the reasons why that always seems so interesting is that, and I've written about this lots, is that I wouldn't have the baggage, you see. I wouldn't have the baggage of the original time. I'd be free from all that. Anyway, I've arrived. Let's see. The old familiar bell. And in there, nothing. No news is good news. I love this place. I think, although I'm not thinking about it, when it happens, I'll be fine with coming back here. I might even be happy. I think I will get back into my little engine room, start building my crepe, and start, said that to Flo, the fact of being here and doing all those little tasks, chopping up a Charlotte, quickly got to get the Charlotte, you know, taking out all the things I need for the table, you know. I need the Savoyard, the bacon, I need the mushrooms, and then taking out the spinach. And they're all little things that I can do, and the adrenaline starts to go because you have to do it as quick as possible. It's like a game. It's like some kind of a competition against yourself. And you can be busy for 3 hours and then you're washing up, and for all of that time, the most wonderful thing of all is that you don't have a single thought in your head. Just all the little tasks you have to do. It's wonderful. No thoughts, no anxiety, no stress, no relationship stuff, if it's going according to plan, you know. Anyway, so I've arrived here. I guess I got to turn off the thing. That was an interesting, I think that was kind of an interesting end part to this talk. I do want to work on that idea. I don't know if it's possible, you know. Maybe it is possible, but like I was saying, maybe I have to just become 10 years older for it to be completely possible. Maybe that is the thing, you know. Maybe that's why a lot of older people seem to be much more serene. And you're able to talk to them, and when you say stuff, they don't jump into debating you like lunatics straight away. They smile and they take a, you know, lots of old people smile and they don't jump into conversations. They're happy to let the other person talk. But I'd like to get to the position where I could really make a point of inventing my own character. So bizarre this, because I'm talking about stuff that's, you know, we all have a few things that interest us, a few passions, a few psychological objectives if you're a certain type of person. It's like Bowie said, he had like a handful of things that interested him, and that is all he ever sung about for his entire career. And I'm realizing that about myself, because the notion of wanting to become a specific character who's detached and disengaged from it all, it's like, you know, I could probably go back to being, I don't know, maybe 19 or 20 and having the same conversation. Not exactly with the same depth or experience, but the same thing, you know, for a 20-year-old, but the same idea. Well, I'm glad to report that it's 53 minutes and this recorder seems to have worked. And I'm now going to sign off. I'm in the Connemara. I'm going to have some coffee, check the markets again, because that's my obsession. Can't help it. And I will say good night to you. And it'd be interesting. I wish I was you, in a way, Eddie of the future, so that I could tell what cryptocurrencies are going to go up. I wish I could be you in 10 years' time, and please God, with the help of the powers that be, and luck, and genetics, and good food, whatever, that you're still in good shape in 10 years' time. But it'd be interesting to see you, see what you're like, and also listen to what you have to say about the markets. That'd be fascinating. You could, 10 years' time, that's a huge amount of time for crypto. You could say, well, remember that time Bitcoin dropped and it was at 50, blah, blah, blah. Well, now. Remember that time you thought that Thema was a good idea, but then the price dropped and you thought, yeah, I don't know, but I'm going to leave my 2,000 in it. Well, that was a good idea. And then which one was the most important? You thought it was going to be Cardano, and you thought this and that, but you also had a soft spot for that other one called the Graph. Well, the Graph. In the end, the Graph outdid them all. And you had some investment in the Graph, so you did okay. And then, you know what I'd like to hear? And you know those other 20 currencies? No, the 50 currencies that you put some money in, including the Wink? Well, I've got good news for you. Wink made it. And so did 8 of those other currencies. They all went up over $8. You're a millionaire. I don't know what the point would be of having millions. See, the problem of having millions when you're 70 is it's too fucking late. Isn't that the truth? You want someone to give you $1 million when you're about 20. I know you're probably going to fucking kill yourself with it at that age. Can you imagine me when I was drinking having $1 million? But on the other hand, My God, you could do a lot with a million if you're 20. Your whole life, you start doing all kinds of things. When you're 70, wow. I'm being stupid, ain't I? I mean, what's to stop you doing everything you want when you're 70 as well? You slow down maybe mentally, you don't have as many dreams and ambitions, but you can probably, well, technically, you can't do the physical stuff, but you can certainly have dreams and ambitions still. Anyway, adios. I got the lock on. Let's say adios with the lock switched off.